In Dead Island 2, zombies are the reanimated corpses of deceased humans infected with pathogen HK. During the zombification process, the pathogen reverts any infected individual to a primitive, cannibalistic state driven by a hunger for flesh, making them extremely hostile towards non-infected survivors. They can easily identify non-infected people and will attempt to infect or incapacitate and eventually consume them. Showing low brain functionality and little hints of intelligence, they attack mainly with their arms or basic handheld melee weapons. Therefore, cutting/breaking a zombie's arm or knocking them down will prevent any usage of weaponry, whether a handheld object or their open fist, as they tend to become stunned or drop their current weapon. And there you go, that was a quick overview of zombies within Dead Island 2, and this video is going to be a complete guide to the zombies within Dead Island 2, going over the different types of zombies that you'll be able to find when you are playing the game. For example, there are butchers, suiciders, walkers, screamers, shamblers, slobbers, and crushers. There's loads and loads of different types, and we'll be going over every single one within this video and how they work. So let's waste no more time, and let's get straight into the video. So first of all, we'll be looking at the butchers. Now, butchers are essentially a faster, stronger version of the infected. They have the speed, sight, and rapid attacks of the infected, as well as roaring before attacking. They slash with their exposed forearm bones, their quick attacks making them difficult to fight with melee weapons, essentially making them an infected that has mutated into a killing machine. Attacking them from a distance with guns or thrown weapons is an effective way of killing them. Butchers do have longer reach than their models may indicate, and can successfully attack from a range that would normally require them to be wielding a long weapon to reach. They appear in groups of infected or walkers, but rarely, since butchers seem to like to work alone most of the time. Butchers appear to be heavily damaged infected zombies. Their forearms have been completely destroyed, leaving only bloody stumps with exposed sharpened bones in their place. Whether the bones' razor sharp points are the result of violent fractures, or if the butchers purposely sharpened them, is unknown. Their faces are also heavily damaged, revealing most of the skull, but still possessing enough muscle to move their jaws. The eyes are pale and appear to be not functional, although they still manage to possess incredible accuracy and finesse in combat. Butchers appear to be wearing overalls and feature long grey hair and huge bald spots. There is an unused drowner butcher that was supposed to appear near water, but that was actually scrapped. In Dead Island 2, as of the recent trailers for the game in 2022, the butchers return in more clown-like appearances as of known for now. Now, butchers act, at least on the surface, the same as infected. Upon spotting their prey, they will emit uncanny screams/roar before sprinting at the survivor. They are very fast and can run at human pace, meaning it's likely impossible for you to outrun them no matter what you try. Upon reaching their victim, they will start to hack and slash at the survivor rapidly with their sharp exposed bones on their arms. The most unique thing about butchers that make them special compared to most zombies is the ability to regenerate health if left alone for too long or being too badly damaged. It is unknown how the special infected managed to have this ability, but this is most likely due to some special mutations thanks to the virus for this zombie, making them a huge danger to those not immune. Even if not immune, they can still do damage, brutally capable of leaving the subject in a horrifying state no other zombie can do. They also appear to have retained some of their living dexterity, as they are able to dodge melee swings that are thrown at them, making them even more potent in close range combat. Butchers are quite a silent type at times, unlike most zombies encountered, meaning it can be difficult for players sometimes to tell if it is charging at them, giving you a horrible, unexpected jump scare. Despite their damaged state, they can sometimes manage to somehow successfully climb objects like an infected, despite having no support really for their arms. There we go, that's everything we know about butchers, and they will be part of Dead Island 2 since we have seen them in the trailers. So let's now move on to crawlers. Now, crawlers weren't actually part of the original Dead Island game, so that does mean that we do have some limited information about them. It's just because we've seen them within the trailers for Dead Island 2, but we do have a little bit of information that we can go off. Now, crawlers are a new type of zombie, and there were no gameplay of the zombie, specifically, but it does seem to be a variant of the walker. A crawler is made when you cut off the legs of a walker. In the previous games, cutting off the legs of an enemy would instantly just kill it, regardless of its health. With the recent trailers of Dead Island 2, you can see crawlers and how they're made and how they attack. They seem to grab onto the leg of the hero and attempt to bite and claw at their legs. Now, crawlers aren't their own type of zombie, they are sort of deformed types of other zombies. Now, the 4 zombies we know that can be crawlers are walkers, shamblers, runners, and grabbers. They can all become crawlers if, of course, they lose their legs or are badly injured, and that's everything really that we know about crawlers. They're very slow and they have some moderate aggression. That's pretty much everything we know, since, of course, they weren't part of Dead Island 1. But now we're on to another one which is brand new, and this is a grabber. Now, a grabber is going to be a new special walker type zombie upcoming in Dead Island 2. The grabber is a zombie, as the name says, that likes to attack by grabbing its victim most of the time, similar to how walkers and shamblers act in combat when using their special/ambush move. The grabbers have a more fat appearance that makes them look like a floater, but without the vomiting and being shorter. Now, there are multiple types of grabbers, 2 of which we know about. First of all, there is a runner grabber. Runner grabbers are a grabber type variant of the runner zombie. They're more faster than a normal grabber. Then there's also the crawler grabber, and crawler grabbers are crawler versions of the grabber if their legs are broken or chopped off. Next up is the runners. Now, runners are a type of zombie that feature in Dead Island Epidemic and will feature within Dead Island 2. Their behavior is similar to that of a normal zombie, except they are able to run at increasingly faster rates, a super fast type zombie that attacks in melee. So, unlike the infected who are survivors slowly turning into shamblers, runners are fast versions of walkers that will attack with their speed in combat. And whilst their exact behaviour is pretty unknown as of yet, their name and appearances in the trailers is relatively indicative of what they are likely to do. Being mostly analogues of infected, they are faster variants of zombies like walkers or shamblers who are capable of running at faster speeds and chasing their prey. So, next up is screamers. Now, screamers are a type of zombie in Dead Island Riptide and will be part of Dead Island 2, also known as the Siren in Escape Dead Island. These zombies have the ability to emit a loud, piercing shriek that can blur the vision of the player and knock the player down or stun them in places as they cover their ears. To make matters worse, they are ear-piercing screams, which will draw infected and walkers to the player, who will be unable to move and react unless they move out of the wide range of the screamer's scream. Screamers, like we mentioned, can be found in Riptide near the end of the main quest, The Crossing, when a cutscene shows a ferry arrives to Pinai Ferry Station after going through most of a zombie horde attack as the boss before taking the ferry to Henderson. They are then later found in various parts of the city as well as in dead zones. So a screamer will stand much like a walker does when hiding around a corner to grab an unsuspected person. They will make very few movements other than occasional twitches, again much like an ambush walker. Upon seeing the player, they will emit a high-pitched scream and perform a terrifying skitter across towards the player at a similar speed to an infected. Luckily, their sight range appears to be as short as a walker, allowing you to sneak around them if permitted. Upon reaching you, they will scream in your face, causing your vision to blur and also really limit your movement. So next up is a shambler. Unfortunately, we have really limited information about shamblers within Dead Island 2, since they will be part of Dead Island 2 as a new type of zombie. These haven't been in any previous games. Now, they function very similar to walkers with a few minor differences and some unique named shamblers. They are basic zombies that make up a majority of the undead found in Los Angeles. Now, these are very slow in terms of their speed, and they have a, fairly average aggression, so some pretty basic zombies, but unfortunately we really don't have much information about them at the moment. And next up is going to be slobbers. Now, the slobber is a special type of special infected featured in Dead Island 2 and replaces the floater from previous games. The slobber was also planned to appear in the cancelled version of Dead Island 2 as well, and it is going to continue within this version as well. Now, slobbers have a bloated body, showing many toxic acid tumours bulging out together with some organs. Their skin is blackened with decay and their heads are bald. Like most zombies in Dead Island 2, they can wear a variety of clothing. They behave in a very similar way to floaters in that they also expel acid from their mouth to attack you and are swollen up in appearance. And if slobbers maintain the ability to throw their own body chunks at the player, then they are a mixer between the floater and the grenader counterparts. So next up is a suicider. Now, the suicider is a special zombie featured in Dead Island 1, Dead Island Riptide, Dead Island Epidemic, and will feature within Dead Island 2. The suicider is first encountered in Act 1 and will be encountered everywhere from that point later on in each of the resort, Moresby, sewers, and prison areas in Dead Island Riptide. And yeah, Supersiders are creatures trapped in a disfigured pulsing form. How they mutated and having their skin grown into this is actually unknown, but the only real reason this could happen is because of survivors who suffered from diseases, other viruses, cancer, or accidentally getting into contact with some kind of radiation. They retain a resemblance of awareness, even though their instincts drive them to get close to an uninfected survivor and attack them with a self-destructive suicidal explosion, as their name does say. Now, Suiciders are first encountered on the beach during the quest Black Hawk Dawn, where one stumbles out from being some foliage close to the helicopter that crashed, groaning for help to lure the heroes into a trap. A corpse of one can be found at the hotel during the quest Born to be Wild within Dead Island 1 before the first interaction. Now, the Suicider in Dead Island Epidemic is a special type of zombie that is immune to projectile knockbacks. They have the new feature to leap onto players and explode, dealing heavy area damage if not saved by another player in time. They explode a few seconds after being killed, dealing area damage at the same time. So when it comes to Dead Island 2, they will have the ability to be faster compared to before, and it is going to seem like everything else will be pretty much the same from the previous games. So now we're on to the final type of zombie, which is the classic type of zombie, which is part of Dead Island Riptide, Dead Island Epidemic, and will be part of Dead Island 2, and these are walkers. Now, these are the first zombie type encountered within every single Dead Island game and are very, very common. The walkers are those who have undergone the full zombification process, and they sport a variety of different clothing, and walkers can be tricky enemies to deal with. They will remain motionless, giving the appearance of being truly dead until the player does get up close to them and tries to deal damage to them. Now, typically, walkers will follow you, but can be outrun fairly easily since they aren't very fast. Now, walkers will shamble towards you, but if given enough of a run up, then they will actually start jogging, and if a walker does see you, it will follow you until it doesn't outrun you. Now, interestingly, if you actually do attack the walker, it will gradually increase in speed while walking towards you, and walkers can go in and out of buildings and buses and traverse stairs and walk through panes of glass, but they cannot open doors or climb ladders. They can use melee weapons though, and even throw them, and that is basically everything you need to know about walkers. Pretty basic standard types of zombies, and that does just about wrap up things here. That was a complete guide to zombies within Dead Island 2 and everything we know about them so far. Of course, there's always the opportunity there will be more types of zombies. This is only from what's been confirmed and seen within trailers, and yeah, that does just about wrap up things here. Now, I have done a video where I go through everything we know so far about Dead Island 2, and if you're interested in watching that, then the link to that video is on the screen now, and you can go ahead and join me over there.